RYUC After Action Report Essential, Illusion of the Human Mind. This recording is part of a series of recordings reporting on an exploration into our creativity, collectively entitled Releasing Your Unlimited Creativity After Action Report, abbreviated RYUC-AAR. This particular recording addresses the creativity essential on the observation that what the human mind perceives is not necessarily correct, and why. Background on the creativity essentials and the RYUC material. The creativity essentials are concepts, principles, ideas, or whatever one may wish to call them, related to the source out of which our creativity arises. The journey of exploration into our creativity revealed the essentials needed to be addressed and understood in some way by an individual if one desired to move as deep as possible into their own creativity, creative ability, and creative power in this incarnation. Otherwise, one would be placing self-imposed limits on their creativity. Essentials are not building blocks or fundamental items used to create something. Rather, the essentials are about the stuff out of which the building blocks and foundational items arise. It is suggested you ponder, contemplate, do your own experiments with the creativity essentials such that you know their truth for yourself. Here I wish to bring to your attention we each have a very unique perspective of creation. What I say and write about on the topic of creativity with its relationship with the creative essence of creation are my comments based on my observation and experience from the journey of exploration into our creativity. If what I say resonates with you, use it. Otherwise, it's recommended you do your own contemplation, experiments, and exploration into the variety of topics discussed here to see what's true for yourself. Illusion of the human mind. Relative to any thought we have, what needs to be understood, any thought we have arises from experiencing a flow of energy. Without a flow of energy, nothing moves and there is nothing to observe. Whether the flow of energy is a sensation from some external energy sensed in the body and translated into a thought, or for some movement of internal energy, there is the movement of energy and activities in the brain to generate the thought. From wherever the energy arises, there is some movement of energy. Creating the thought will have two parts. The thought has a real part and an imaginary part. The real part is a result of the flow of energy that is giving rise to the experience we have and is what is felt or sensed in the experience. The feeling sensation is real. This is relatively easy to understand. The imaginary part is our interpretation of the experience of that flow of energy through the illusion of mind. The illusion of mind is that mind uses all that it has within itself without thinking of how it will characterize the energy. It appears to look at all the information it has and looks for the best fit to match the energy it experiences. The more the energy is different than anything it has previously experienced, the greater the inaccuracies in the characterization. There's also the issue if the characterization of the energy is based on accurate information in the person's mind. But the illusion aspect is more about the option the mind has when the energy is characterized. It is an illusion because given different past experiences, a different environment, different beliefs, and a different way of thinking, we would characterize the experience of that energy differently. Hence, our interpretation and characterization is somewhat illusionary and unreal. It may be very logical with an extremely good basis for the characterization, and it may be very effective as to what can be done with the thought created, but is nonetheless imagined by our mind. The thought is imaginary because we change a few fundamental beliefs and our perception changes and we tell a different story. For example, we experience the sun seemingly to rise in the morning and set in the evening. Depending on what we think and believe, the sun rises and sets. Or we could say the earth rotates, if we understand the rotation of the earth. So we can say believing the sun rises and sets is illusionary, and saying the earth rotates is real. But suppose a new phenomenon is discovered and provides some explanation about how the earth appears to rotate. Assume this new understanding is about warping of the gravitational field bending the light from the sun makes the Earth seem to rotate, but it does not rotate. Would you believe the new understanding or hold on to the old story? What proof or authority would you need to change your view? In any case, how our mind characterizes the experience of any flow of energy may or may not be correct. For example, mind often does not have the whole story as to the events which occur and items or aspects not seen by the mind. For example, from your perspective, looking across the street, walking up a narrow alley, you see a man pulling a gun and robbing another man. You see the robber taking the man's wallet. Obviously, the man is being robbed. However, if you step out of the alley and you look around the corner, you see a camera and the film crew recording the scene. Your perception suddenly changes. Then it is obvious it is only a movie scene. However, until you see the bigger picture, your mind only sees and believes that it is a robbery. It is clear often our mind does not have all the facts about a given situation. Also, it needs to be noted here, seeing the man pulling his wallet out and giving it to the robber is what you see. The initial interpretation based on past experience is the man is being robbed. But as soon as you have new information that a movie is being made, the characterization of the energy has changed. The energy you initially saw did not change. It was interpreted in a valid way based on the information and beliefs you possessed at the time. However, as soon as you have new information, your belief has changed, and the same energy is now characterized in a different way. So, the story we create may or may not be correct, depending on the facts our mind has or does not have. However, in our creative imagination, if we are able to transcend the limits and barriers we impose on our own thinking, we can explore options with the energy we sense even if we haven't correctly characterized it. We can observe the energy under different scenarios we create within our creative imagination. More importantly, we can create scenarios like rituals, meta-theaters, going to different environments and the like to gain new experiences to better characterize any energy we access. In doing so, we gain better insights as to what is possible to manifest in physical creation. Most importantly, what needs to be understood about creative endeavors is that our thoughts never really stretch our mind as to what is possible. Most do not move past the limits and barriers imposed by mind, so that we never take those, quote, quantum leaps in our creative thinking that are truly transformative for us and our world. The reason for this is mind uses the past to characterize what it sees. When it comes to a truly new, original, creative endeavor, something or some experience never before experienced, in this case, mind is of little value. To become truly creative, we need to step out of mind and allow ourselves to surrender to what we feel to get past the limits of the past experiences of our mind. In these cases of a truly new, original, creative endeavor, how effective mind is in characterizing what is experienced all depends on whether or not we have the minimum set of experiences to properly characterize what we experience. Often it will take some time to understand what we experienced until we get the minimum set of experiences. As said above, any thought we have from experiencing a flow of energy will have two parts. The thought has a real part and an imaginary part. The real part is a result of the flow of energy that is giving rise to the experience we have and is what we feel in the experience. The feeling is real. The imaginary part is through our creative imagination, our mind's interpretation of the experience of that flow of energy. Although most do not realize, we look to the external experiences and phenomena to verify what we see is real. For internal experiences, especially those in the mind as opposed to body sensations, we have no way to really verify if what we are experiencing is real. On this point, it needs to be remembered the tradition says that when Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree on his path to enlightenment and was being troubled by demons that arose to torment and haunt him, he continually touched the ground to remind himself that to be incarnated in physical creation in that moment was his truth. His truth was not in the realms of the unmanifested where the demons existed. Rather, his truth was in his body and his environment. So there is no need to judge our body and condemn it in any way. Rather, it should be loved and cherished for the truth that it is. To judge the body as unacceptable in any way is to separate ourselves from that which created it and to live in separation from the Creator, whomever we believe that Creator to be. Within the understanding of energy and consciousness, our energy goes where we focus our attention and awareness through our consciousness, and that reality will mold itself to whatever we intend. As such, it needs to be understood that there is a consciousness that has focused its attention and awareness such that it has manifested our body. Alternatively said, our body has been molded for what that consciousness has intended. It doesn't matter if we believe this consciousness is God, our higher self, or our consciousness or whatever. Our body and the experience of the body is our truth manifested, for it is a truth of who we are, whomever or whatever intended our existence. It is suggested one pay more attention to what they feel about a situation more than what they think about a situation. Here again, what we feel is real. How we characterize what we feel is a characterization of our mind, based on our past experience.